For decades, Sean "Diddy" Combs was untouchable, a mogul, a hitmaker, and a cultural icon. But now, his entire empire is under siege. What started as whispers in the industry has exploded into a federal trial that's dragging some of hip-hop's darkest secrets into the spotlight. Prosecutors aren't just coming after Combs for one incident. They're painting a picture of an entire criminal operation, one built on manipulation, coercion, and fear. The charges? They go beyond the tabloids. We're talking trafficking, racketeering, obstruction, and even arson. The courtroom is tense. The media is watching every second. And for the first time in years, the man who once dominated the music charts is now fighting to protect everything he's built, from his reputation to his freedom. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get worse, a new voice stepped forward. A voice from inside his own circle. The man who worked alongside both Combs and Cassie, and why his testimony could destroy it all. Deonte Nash wasn't some distant witness or forgotten associate. He was in the room, in the car, at the events. He styled both Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. He knew their relationship from the inside, not from headlines, but from first-hand experience. Nash described himself as Cassie's close friend, someone who genuinely cared for her well-being. But what makes his testimony hit even harder is that he didn't come in with a grudge. In fact, he admitted under oath that he still exchanged friendly texts with Combs. He called them loving, said he didn't hate the man. And yet, when asked why he was testifying, Nash didn't hesitate. "It's just not me," he said, meaning he couldn't keep quiet about what he saw, no matter how powerful Combs was. This wasn't a man looking for attention. He didn't want headlines. He wasn't planning a lawsuit. He told the court all he wanted was to get out of here. But before he could leave, he had one job to do: tell the truth. According to Deonte Nash, there was a disturbing pattern that Cassie couldn't escape, and it all centered around something Combs allegedly called freak-offs. These weren't wild parties in the way people glamorize celebrity life. They were darker. Cassie, Nash testified, didn't want to go. Not once. But she did anyway, because Combs expected it. He described how she'd pack a bag filled with toys and disappear for a day, sometimes more, only to return looking exhausted and drained. Nash said it was clear. These weren't trips she enjoyed. They were obligations. One incident stuck with him. It was Cassie's birthday, a night that should have been about celebration. She wanted to go to a karaoke club with her friends. Instead, Combs insisted on leaving the party early and demanded she go to a hotel with him. She didn't argue. She went. Not because she wanted to, but because she was scared of what would happen if she didn't. And according to Nash, this wasn't a one-time thing. It was the reality behind the closed doors of Combs' world, a reality Cassie couldn't say no to. One night in 2013 or 2014, things hit a breaking point. Deonte Nash recalled a chilling memory, the kind you don't forget. After a heated argument with Combs, Cassie ran. Not metaphorically, literally. She fled to her hotel room, trying to escape whatever rage was coming her way. Nash was sent to find her. When he did, she was standing on the balcony, silent, shaking, looking out over the edge. Nash said it felt like time stopped. He didn't know what she was thinking, but he feared the worst. She was going to go over the balcony, he told the court. That's the sentence that hung in the air like a fog. This wasn't about a bad relationship anymore. It was about survival. About a woman pushed so far emotionally and mentally that she didn't know where to run, except up, away, and dangerously close to a decision she could never take back. It wasn't the kind of story you'd expect to hear about a celebrity couple. But that's what makes it even more terrifying. And sadly, that moment wasn't isolated. What Nash described next would leave the courtroom stunned. A violent confrontation that turned Cassie's apartment into a scene of horror. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't speculation. Deonte Nash told the jury what he saw with his own eyes. And it was brutal. He was at Cassie's apartment, helping her prepare for a music festival. Everything seemed normal, until Combs showed up. What happened next, Nash said, was chaos. Combs was already enraged when he walked in. Without warning, he grabbed Cassie by the hair and began attacking her, kicking, hitting, throwing punches. Nash and another woman in the apartment, identified in court as victim 4, jumped in, trying to stop it. They both tried to pull Combs off, even jumping on his back. But they couldn't hold him. Nash said Combs threw them off like they were nothing. He kept attacking Cassie until her head slammed into the edge of the bed frame, splitting her eyebrow open. Blood everywhere. And if you think this was just talk, prosecutors had the receipts. When Cassie testified earlier in the trial, they showed photos of her face from that night. Her eyebrow bloodied, her expression hollow. This wasn't just a slap or a shove. It was an all-out assault. and Nash didn't hold back when he described it. But if you thought the physical violence was the end of it, it wasn't. The real horror came next, when Nash revealed how far Combs was willing to go to destroy Cassie's life, career, and even her family. For Cassie, it wasn't just about physical control. It was professional, psychological, and deeply personal. Deonte Nash told the court that Combs used Cassie's music career like a leash. If she ever said something he didn't like, if she pushed back, talked back, or even had a tone, he had a threat ready. Her little mixtape won't come out, he'd say. She was signed to his label in a 10-album deal, a full decade of her future, locked behind his approval. And yet, in all that time, only one studio album ever saw the light of day. Nash's testimony painted the picture clearly. She wasn't just an artist, she was a hostage in a recording contract, and it went beyond music. Nash described an incident at the Vanity Fair Oscars party in 2014. Cassie wore her hair down, styled, elegant, confident. But Combs didn't approve. In front of everyone, he picked Nash up by his jacket. Furious, he demanded Cassie put her hair up. Nash, visibly shaken, scrambled to fix it with pins. When it was done, Combs smirked and said, "I was right, it does look better up." Every decision, down to her hairstyle, was his to make. She wasn't just controlled in public. She was managed, monitored, and manipulated at every level of her life. But Combs' power trip didn't stop at Cassie's career. What Nash said next stunned the courtroom. A threat so personal, it didn't just target Cassie. It reached her family. It wasn't enough to control her music, her image, or her body. According to Deonte Nash, Combs wanted Cassie to feel like there was nowhere safe, not even home. In one of the most disturbing moments of his testimony, Nash recounted an incident where Combs threatened to release sex tapes of Cassie. But this wasn't some emotional outburst. It was calculated, strategic, vicious. Combs allegedly told Cassie that he'd send the tapes, not just to the internet, but to her parents' workplaces. Why? To get them fired, to humiliate her through them. Nash said it happened in the car, shortly after Combs had shown up at her apartment in a rage, yanked her by the hair, and ordered Nash to leave. Cassie eventually got in Nash's car, and they drove off. But Combs wasn't finished. He called, told them to pull over, and approached the window. That's when he made the threat. That's when he said he'd destroy her family's life if she didn't fall in line. Cassie was in tears, and Nash tried to comfort her by saying Combs wouldn't release the tapes. After all, he was in them too. But Cassie's reply said everything. "He won't be on them. He was filming me with other men." Not only was she allegedly coerced into performing, she was recorded without her full control in situations designed to be used against her. And worse, to be used as a weapon against her own family. It wasn't just abuse, it was blackmail. And it raises a terrifying question. How many others might have lived through similar threats and stayed silent? What started as a disturbing portrait of one toxic relationship is now unraveling into something far more massive and far more dangerous. Prosecutors are arguing that the abuse Cassie endured wasn't isolated. It was part of a system, a pattern, a lifestyle of control, fear, and retaliation that Sean Combs allegedly maintained for years, possibly decades. The threats, the violence, the manipulation, the freak-offs, the career sabotage, the blackmail, and now, the firebombing. Yes, firebombing. As part of this same federal case, investigators testified that Combs is also linked to the arson of Kid Cudi's car. A Molotov cocktail was thrown into the rapper's Porsche, and though the bottle didn't shatter, limiting the damage, the message was clear, it was targeted, it was deliberate. A single black glove was found in the back seat of the car. Suspicious? Definitely. But here's where it gets worse. Fingerprint evidence that could have tied someone to the crime mysteriously disappeared. In court, the defense was outraged. They accused prosecutors of misconduct. Combs' team even pushed for a mistrial, claiming the mention of destroyed fingerprints unfairly implied Combs had tampered with the investigation. The judge denied the motion, but ordered any reference to the lost fingerprints be stricken from the record. Still, the damage was done. Jurors had heard enough. Enough to wonder, was this just about sex and power? Or was it also about silencing threats, covering tracks, and controlling narratives by any means necessary? And it's not over. There's another witness stepping forward. A woman known only as Victim 4. The testimony is expected to continue tomorrow. And if it's anything like what Nash revealed, it could be devastating. For years, Sean Combs lived as an icon. Untouchable, celebrated, feared. But in this courtroom, surrounded by evidence, eyewitnesses, and decades of whispered rumors, now shouted aloud, that image is cracking. Deonte Nash didn't come in with a lawsuit or a headline to sell. He came in with memories of nights filled with blood, fear, silence, and control. He told the jury what he saw, what he heard, and what he tried to stop. And in doing so, he opened the floodgates. Because once the silence breaks, it doesn't stop. Not when other witnesses, like Victim 4, are still waiting to tell their stories. Not when photos exist. Not when tapes may still be out there. And not when the government is alleging this wasn't just abuse, but a criminal enterprise. A network of coercion, a legacy built not just on platinum records, but on fear, silence, and control. The truth is, this case is no longer about one man and one woman. It's about what power can hide, and what happens when the people inside that power structure finally speak. The question now isn't if more will come out, it's how much worse it will get. Because this story is far from over.